right, hello there, thrill seeker. Whoa, Jesus. What the hell? All right, hello there, thrill seekers. Everything's falling apart. Wasn't that a song? I'm sorry, there was dust on the monitor. Wasn't there a song called Everything's Falling Apart? Was that the Buzzcocks? I don't know. Anyway, that was a little bit of not Everything's Falling Apart, but Whiter Shade of Pale, which was a favorite song of mine for a long time, and I distinctly remember that album, Procol Harum's album that song appears on, was one of my selections when I joined one of these like Columbia Music House or something when I was a teenager. They'd have these ads in like TV Guide or whatever. You get 15 albums for 1 cent, and then you have to sign up to get more every week or some such thing. It was kind of a gimmick. And one of my 15 albums for 1 cent was that one, and it was probably the only one I really, really liked. So somebody on Twitter didn't like it, but you know what? I don't care. I like it. I thought my version came out okay. So I wanted to talk about something, and it's sort of for me. And if you don't like it, then that's okay. But this is, I have a friend who's a writer in Hollywood, not Shozan Jack Haubner, but somebody who's another person who's a writer, because Shozan used to be, but this guy still is. And he once told me about the concept of writing, one for me and one for them. And this is something that I guess Hollywood writers do, where they'll write a movie that they intend to be commercial and sellable and whatever, and they may not really like it, but it's something that they can sell. And then they also would spend time writing one for themselves, which they think might not be quite as sellable, but they enjoy doing a lot more. So this is one for me, and I hope you can follow along. But I have this Instagram account called Ziggy Zendog. Actually, Ziggy puts that stuff up. Haha. Anyway, if you go on Instagram, you will see that there is an account called Ziggy Zendog, and it is my dog Ziggy. And I put up a cute picture of Ziggy and a quote from some Buddhist source, and I don't put them up. I try to put them up at least one a week, but sometimes I don't get to it. Anyway, go follow Ziggy Zendog. The latest one, I chose this quote from this book called Dogen's Extensive Record, Eihei Koroku, that I like, and I want to read you the passage and then talk about it. So, let's start by reading the passage. A lot of these Eihei Koroku passages are very, very short. This one happens to be about 2 pages long, which makes it one of the longer ones. Some of them barely make a paragraph. Some of them are just a single sentence. And they are supposedly recordings of talks that Dogen gave to his students when he was at Eiheiji. And since Eihei Koroku means the extensive record of Eihei, the record of Eihei, and Eihei could be Eihei Dogen. Sometimes the teacher was called by the name of the temple that they founded. So Dogen might have been called Eihei, and his temple was also called Eihei. And so this is a translation by Taigen Dan Layton and Shohaku Okumura, and I'm going to talk about some of the translations, but let me just first spit out the whole thing for you before we go into the specifics. This is Dharma Hall Discourse number 52, and Shohaku Okumura and Dan Layton have given it the title Study of Sounds and Colors. Dogen did not give titles to these, so the titles are all added by the various people who've translated the pieces themselves. Here we go. It is recommended to win the entire bank, but definitely avoid creating head-on opposition. On the bright side, understanding distinctions, you deserve 30 blows. On the dark side, merging into unity, you deserve 30 blows. And the footnote says, this sentence refers to a statement by Linji's friend. Linji is also named Rinzai, as in the Rinzai sect of Zen. Linji's friend Puhua, an eccentric troublemaker who said, come on the bright side and I'll hit you on the bright side, come on the dark side and I'll hit you on the dark side. One traditional interpretation of this kind of language is that brightness refers to the world of distinctions, the sounds and colors that Dogen is about to discuss, while darkness refers to the ultimate, beyond sounds and colors. So, okay. You have already attained suchness. Already attained suchness is one of those words. I should have checked this. It's usually a translation of inmo, which Nishijima Roshi translated as what or it. But it's a sort of the unknown something that is everything. How about that? All people are not lacking even a little, lacking enlightenment. Why don't you realize it? Enlightenment does not begrudge enlightenment, but you fail to realize it simply because you are bound by sounds and colors. So the sounds and colors are the sounds and colors of the world. When sounds and colors bind up enlightenment, aren't sounds and colors bound by enlightenment? So the idea being that this world we see before us is also a manifestation of enlightenment, also a manifestation of the ultimate. Although this is so, releasing your body into sounds and colors, opening your hands amid sounds and colors, remaining there using your effort, certainly you can realize standing pillar Zen and you can realize Nirgranta Zen. And the footnote helpfully tells us Nirgranta Jnatiputra, also known as Mahavira, is the name of the founder of Jainism. Jainism is a kind of, let's read what it says. A contemporary with Shakyamuni Buddha. The Jain tradition emphasizes asceticism and world renunciation. That's what I was about to tell you. So here, Nirgranta Zen might be Dogen's expression for practice that attempts to reject the realm of sounds and colors. Standing pillar Zen is an original expression here which might imply merely understanding or meditation in stillness without open expression and sharing of the teaching in the world outside of the Dharma hall. Okay, the rest of the world. Therefore, this sentence might be interpreted as saying that rejection of the realm of sounds and colors is another form of attachment to the realm of sounds and colors. Ancestor Zen traditionally refers to practice as it functions in ordinary daily activity. Tathagata Zen refers to practice based on the teachings from the sutras. And that footnote actually goes to the next sentence, which I'm going to read. Yet even in a dream you will not see Ancestor Zen or Tathagata Zen. How very painful. Once you mistakenly put on the robe of sounds and colors and seek advantage through external forms, then you will have in your house paintings of the goddess of good fortune, but you will also nourish the goddess of poverty. And the footnote says, the goddess of poverty is literally the dark woman of misfortune, who, according to the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, is the twin sister who arrives together with a goddess of good fortune. Dogen is speaking of the result of attachment to sounds or colors or external forms. And this also reminds me of something. I just put this up on Twitter last night. I had to get up at 3 a.m. to let Ziggy out because he was having a bout of watery poo-poo, how about we'll say it like that, and he needed to go out. And it just suddenly hit me, I don't know why, as I was standing there waiting for him to do his business, that in retrospect, a lot of the times that I thought of in my life as heavenly turned out to be little visits to hell. You know, things that didn't turn, that seemed great but turned out really wrong. And I think that's kind of there's always a side to everything. And I think this is what Dogen is referring to. You go in this realm of sounds and colors, this, the physical realm that we live in and that you're living in and we're dealing with right now. And you think you found something great, but there's always a dark side to that great thing that you found. So any great thing that you find has a dark side to it. But then there's this other thing, which is the thing that is neither super wonderful nor super awful, but is that kind of middle ground. And that's the thing we usually think of as mundane and boring, but you come to realize if you practice enough that that's the best. That's the best stuff, is the thing that is neither great nor really bad. Let's continue. When, without expectation, suddenly you break through the lacquered bucket of the ancestors' style and lift your head and hit your chest in unmediated expression, suddenly you attain realization of the way. When one person realizes the way, self and other together realize the way. In one morning of realizing the way, past body and future body together realize the way. For example, It is like crossing a river on a boat or a bridge. Self and others go together, reaching and penetrating the way. Facing east or facing west, at the same time there is no standstill and no obstruction of each other. Someone facing east and someone facing west can use this single boat, the boat of traveling to the other shore, of reaching enlightenment. The boat is the same, but the people are different. Going east and going west, each person reaches their destination. This is the characteristic of enlightenment. When we realize the way, we do not realize with something else. We realize only with sounds and colors, and this is the part I want to talk about. When we realize the way, we do not realize with something else. We realize only with sounds and colors, with this world that we're living in, not with some other thing somewhere else. When we are deluded, we are not deluded with something else. We are deluded only with sounds and colors. A deluded person and an enlightened person at the same time use one boat, and each is not obstructed. In ancient times, a monk once asked Fa Yan, "How can I transcend the two words sound and color?" Fa Yan said, "Great assembly, if you understand the point of this monk's question, it is not difficult to transcend sound and color." And our footnote says, this dialogue is case 39 of Hongqi's collection of 100 koans with prose comments that were later expanded with commentary into the Record of Further Inquiries. That's a koan collection. And it's also part of the Book of Serenity, and appears in the transmission of the lamp. You probably don't care, but that's where it comes from. How can we investigate this one circumstance of the story? With your ears, listen to the stringless lute or the stringless guitar, and with your eyes, see the shadowless tree. The translation says lute is a translation of kin, a Chinese stringed instrument, and it's a quote from an old Chinese poet. And I have a song. I put this song up a while ago after my last tour of Europe called 10,000 Words in a Cardboard Box. And one of the lines is "Dance to the beat of the skinless drum." So it's kind of the same idea. Great practitioners have known such a principle. However, there is a point you need to understand in detail. With your ears, also listen to the lute that has strings. So, listen to the stringless lute or the stringless guitar is sort of listen to the sound of silence, and it sounds very, whoa, that sounds very woo-woo. But he's also saying, listen to the guitar that has strings. You go watch my video of A Whiter Shade of Pale. I played guitar on there, and electric sitar and organ and stuff, and bass. The bass was too loud. But then after I mixed it, I was like, the bass is too loud, but I kind of like the fact that the bass is too loud. Anyway, that's just about my song I just put up yesterday. With your eyes, see the tree that has a shadow. So see just ordinary trees. Already you are like this. Now I ask the great assembly, what things do you call colors and sounds? Where are colors and sounds now? So, just to comment on this, if any of you are Shohaku Okumura or Taigen Dan Leighton, or know Shohaku Okumura or Taigen Dan Leighton, tell them that if I see them, if I run into them anytime and I happen to have a copy of this book, I'm going to smack them on the head with this book. It's kind of heavy, because they deserve it for this first sentence in here. It is recommended to win the entire bank, but definitely avoid creating head-on opposition. I read that, and I'm going, what the hell does that mean? What is that a translation of? It is recommended to win the entire bank. Do they mean bank, like the bank that your money goes to? Or do they mean... I was thinking, well, maybe that seems unlikely, but maybe they mean the other shore, like a shore of a river could be the bank of a river. And sometimes we're talking in Buddhism about getting to the other shore. That's part of the Heart Sutra and stuff, and it's a kind of a metaphor for enlightenment. And I'm going, okay, well, I have my teacher's Eihei Koroku that he put out, which is his translation into Japanese. A lot of I think maybe all of Eihei Koroku is written in this kind of medieval style that Japanese people sometimes did. That one of Dogen's innovations in Shobo Genzo is he writes in actual Japanese. But this is written in Chinese, which as I understand it, and maybe if anybody speaks Chinese, they can take a look at this and tell me if I'm right. My understanding is this is a Japanese version of Chinese. It's not even real Chinese. But then Nishijima Roshi helpfully gives his version of the same thing in. I always thought I always assumed it was written in contemporary Japanese, but he seems to have written it in something more like an approximation of medieval Japanese. So, he was just making life even harder for me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put this up on the screen because it'll take me hours and hours to find. You can't, I don't know why, but the program I'm using to edit these videos doesn't let me copy paste things. But here's what it says. I'm going to show you like this, just in case I can't put the. I think you can read that if you're looking at it. This is the sentence in question, right? And that top line is what it actually is in that fake Chinese, and then in and then in Nishijima Roshi's Japanese translation, you get Kamido or Jodo, above public chamber, say. I guess this is saying it's said in the Kamido or Jodo, which I don't know what Kamido or Jodo is, that the duty of faith, it is recommended to cut death, and this is hitting it right on the head. Something like that. That's what I get out of it. And there's nothing, not a single word in those sentences, either in Chinese or Japanese, that corresponds to bank. You know, I'm looking it up thinking, is it going to say ginko, which is the word for bank? I don't know exactly what the word for a shore of a river is, but, you know, if I saw it, I'd probably recognize it. But it doesn't have that either. It doesn't have a bank as a bank you put your money in. It doesn't have the shore of a river. So this is why I want to smack these guys over the head, because, like, why would you spend so much time working on this book just to put in this incomprehensible sentence and then not even footnote it? Like, don't you realize that if somebody reads "it is recommended to win the entire bank," they're going to wonder what the hell that means? I would. If I put a sentence like that in there, I would be like, oh, nobody's going to know what that means, so I'm going to put a footnote, or I would write the sentence differently. But they didn't do either of those things, so that is why I want to smack Taigen Dan Leighton and Shohaku Okumura, both of whom I respect. I think they're great translators, and I especially think Shohaku Okumura writes some of the best books about Buddhism that you can find, better than mine. You can go find them on your local book barn. But for that sentence, they deserve to be smacked in the head with this book, which weighs, I don't know, 2 or 3 pounds, I would guess. Maybe more. I don't know. It's heavy. Anyway, so the point, though, that I like, and the point that I used in that quote, since I said I put this in my Ziggy Zendog Instagram, and I put a quote. The quote I put was short. It was much, much shorter. It was, when we realize the way, we do not realize with something else. We realize only with sounds and colors. When we are deluded, we are not deluded with something else. We are deluded only with sounds and colors. A deluded person and an enlightened person a deluded person and an enlightened person at the same time use one boat, and each is not obstructed. That was the part I put in there. So it's this idea. I think the main idea in this whole thing, you know, can be distilled to that. It is that enlightenment is not something that you're reaching for that's way over there, or that requires a special, you know, super duper mystical state of mind, or, you know, you have to climb to the mountaintop to find it, or any of that. It is noticing in an unobstructed way what is here right now. Now, that unobstructed way generally requires that you do some sort of a practice, meaning you do, Zazen is the one I do, so that's the one I'll talk about, where you gradually learn to ignore a lot of the confusion and such like that arises through your interaction with what Dogen calls the colors and sounds, the stuff of the world. And you learn to ignore the kind of confusion this will create in the mind, and thereby are able to see the colors and sounds as they are, So it's not that there's something else, some great thing way over there that you're going to find. It's that you look at this world that you're in right now and see it for what it really is, and thereby that becomes your enlightenment. That's the point. Okay, so that's it. That's my explanation. I hope it did you some good, and I hope that somebody out there knows Taigen Dan Layton and or Shohaku Okumura and can send them this video and tell them that really why did you do that? Anyway, if you want to donate to me complaining about Shohaku Okumura and Taigen Dan Layton in some more, you can go, did I say that I really respect them? I think I did. Anyway, you can go to the links that are below if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can go to this URL that I am helpfully putting on the screen for you. What a kind person I am. hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts. Those are my main ways of making a living, and I appreciate your support. But as always, you don't got to support me if you don't want to. And another way you can support me is I put this up 2 months ago, or a month, more than a month ago. I put up my schedule for my tour of Europe, which is starting in August, and I'm putting it up on the screen right now. There's only 3 dates, but there's 3 places. If you're in Europe, you might have to travel a little bit, but you'll get to see me. I'll be in Finland and Germany and England, and the dates and places are up there. Or if you want to go find clickable links to how you can sign up for these events, go to hardcorezen.info/events. All right, we will see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye. All right, there's Ziggy. Hi, Ziggy. Hey, Ziggy, can you look at the camera? He's looking at the camera a little bit. He is still, I think, feeling whatever was making him have the poo-poo problems. I'm pretty sure it's because he was super stressed out by hearing all the explosions of the 4th of July over the last month or so. They've been going on every night. They finally settled down, so I hope that's all that poo-poo problem was about. All right, see you, Ziggy. Bye.